Good morning, grinders. Welcome to the DFS pregame show here on RotoGrinders. I'm Jordan Cooper, aka BlenderEd, Blender HD, if you want to follow me on Twitter. And it's Tuesday, April 26th. We're still talking about MLB, right? It's April, right? Got MLB yesterday, got MLB today. No afternoon games today. Right? I think on when do we have it on Wednesday, on Thursday? I never know. I never know what days we have some afternoon games. We have an afternoon slate early. I saw some games last week at 11 in the morning or something. Okay, I don't know what the schedule is, but no early games, which means we have a very big slate in comparison. I mean, to me, this would be a normal slate, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 games. Like that would be a normal slate, right? And I'm getting a lot of these 7-game, 5-game, 8-game. In the past, a lot of times you get 11, 12, 15, something like that. That's a man's slate, right? Right? With no, like, oh, what team do I pick out of the 5, type of decent teams? No, I like when there's a lot of teams on a slate, a lot of possibilities. But we'll be talking about that, I guess, a little bit and going over yesterday's slate. I see you guys in the YouTube chat. Suki Singh here. Early, as usual, real-life pitcher also as well. Daniel Hutchings, Grant Brown, Andrew Garcia, Benjamin St. Germain, Kickstart, Trey. Good morning. Good morning. Give me those thumbs up buttons. Yeah, just do what you normally do in the morning, right? You show up, you hit the thumbs up button. Helps us out. Hit the subscribe button if you're new here. Hit the notification bell to know when we go live. And Daniel says this slate goes to 11, right? Just like Spinal Tap, right? All the way to 11, all the way to 11. Mr. Mike is looking at that Rodon projection. Wow, yeah, he'll be the chalkiest pitcher on the slate against Oakland. Okay, but yesterday, if you are G-Men 2015, go get a lottery ticket. Go get a lottery ticket. It was a single bullet, I believe, that won on DraftKings, and I don't think anyone could possibly make this type of lineup every slate and never leave with as much money as possible. Yeah, I mean, he didn't need much yesterday. I mean, like no stack really came through. I mean, like no team scored that many points. But G-Men 2015 played Walker Buehler, who, of course, I played the Diamondbacks against him. So I didn't have a very good night, right? When you're like, oh, okay, I got Cleveland. I got Cleveland and Arizona to go along with some of my, I had like Colorado. So I had like 2 home runs out of that. I had Philadelphia, right? I got that. I got, who else did I play? Boston didn't really do much. So I'm like, okay, well, I got all these combined with like Cleveland and Arizona, and they're playing in the late games or whatever, and they just nothing. Cleveland get shut out, and Arizona, Buehler throws a complete game shutout. So it's not just Daniel's putting it like 2-1-1-1-1. That's not the interesting thing. Like yes. If you're going to be like, okay, I'm just going to 2-1-1-1-1-1-1-1, with long term probably is not going to be sustainable for you to build lineups like that and just get first place. It's not just that. Okay, Daniel. It's not just that. It's not only 2-1-1-1-1-1-1-1-1-1. It also includes a batter each against both of their pitchers. Okay, so not only Only there's like no semblance of correlation. There's active negative correlation. So you got to fit in that third baseman, Jason Vosler, obviously, against Corbin Burns because of whatever reason. And you got to play Dalton Varsho against Walker Buehler because Walker Buehler is, even with a complete game shutout, the Dalton Varsho's 3 points was still good enough. It was still fine, right? The second place lineup was, look, here you go. 5 Blue Jays, 3 Astros, right? Scherzer, Buehler. Like, this is the line. This in a just society. This would have been the winning lineup, right? But no, someone just, okay, I fit in Bichette. You got Bichette and Gurriel, right? They were like the top scorers. Who were the top scorers? They may have been the top battering scorers on the slate. Let's sort by points other than pitcher, right? Oh, Taylor Ward. Okay, no, he was the highest scorer. It wasn't even in the winning lineup, right? Because he was barely owned. He was 2% owned, right? Right, Gurriel at 19, Luis Gonzalez on the Giants, Jock Peterson. Right, you could have played Burns and the Giants and probably gotten up there. Right, and then there's just a lot of like, can you fit a lot of these like 14-point people together? And you got it. You did it. So, but good luck making that. People, I know. I love these types of slates for the bad players. Because they'll look at a lineup like that and go, well, a lineup like that can win. I'm like, I've never said a lineup like that couldn't win. Just like what negative expected value doesn't mean it doesn't win. Okay? That means it wins less than its probability. That the probability of it winning wins less than its payout. Okay? So like if this lineup, if we simulated this slate, if we played the slate 1,000,000 times, this lineup would win $50,000 every so often. But after 1,000,000 times, it only wins twice, and then you paid $15 for the lineup, and you end up negative. You're not profitable. That's what negative EV means. It doesn't mean it can't. It can't happen. Can't ever happen. People in DFS are always thinking in terms of it either could happen or it can't happen. Oh, I've seen lineups without stacks win. Yeah, lineups without stacks win all the time. There are tons of people that play MLB and don't even have a semblance of correlation. Oh, I'm just going to pick out or go into an optimizer with no anything. Just give me 8 batters, whatever. Who cares? There's enough lineups like that. It's called implicit collusion in poker, right? You have pocket aces, and that's you have the highest chance of winning the hand with pocket aces. You're at a 9-handed table, 10-handed table. And you look at pocket aces and you're like, I got this. I'm raising, right? You're raising. I'm raising. Well, you know what happens? Everyone calls, right? Because you're playing 3-6 limit holder, right? It doesn't matter, right? It doesn't matter what the stakes are, whatever, right? Everyone limps in, and you're on the big blind and you have pocket aces. I got to get more money in, which is the right move. So out of the big blind, you raise, right? So you raise a little nipple. And everyone calls. So now it's 10-way to the flop. 10-way to the flop. You have aces. You have the most likely chance of winning this hand. But it's what would be if everyone was even card wise, it would be a 10% chance of winning the hand if it was a 10-handed table. Well, based on your card, you have like a 32% chance of winning the hand. Which means when you raise and you get that money in, it's plus EV. Right? If you could get all these people to call you with worse cards because they can't have better cards than you, starting hand, you're profiting. But still, you're going to lose 2/3 of the time not because your cards are bad, it's because the 1 out of the 9 opponents that are calling you with God knows what. The flop comes 8, Jack 6, 3, right? And you know what? Someone has Jack 6, right? Someone has pocket 3s, right? Or someone has King Jack, and they stay, and then the king comes on the turn, and they'll there's so many other players that you're not a favorite to win. You have the highest odds out of the 10 players at the table, but you still lose 2/3 of the time. So people They'd start jamming. Oh, bet, and then go. And they lose to Jack 6 or something, and they start exploding. You don't have a right to win the hand. You're going to lose 2/3 of the time. All the bets you're putting in at the point that you're ahead are plus EV, but it doesn't mean you win. It doesn't mean you win. The same thing in DFS. I'm going to stack 5 guys, 3 guys, 5-3, whatever. Do everything the guy on YouTube that yells at me and tells me to do. And then I see these lineups. So now I'm going to build those lineups. So good luck doing that over 150 slates. Right, which is still not all that many slates even. So do that over 150 slates and tell me what happens. Right? Maybe you get lucky. Maybe out of 150 slates, even though it's negative EV, you'll get lucky. And then you could stack really well, have really good lineups. You could check it. You could check it with sharp players, and like I was kind of in the same ballpark as all these other sharp players, and then go 150 slates and never win. Never win first. And be like, oh, I'm down a little on the season. Yeah, it's 150 slates. Plus EV doesn't mean you automatically win. It's called expected value. What's the definition of expected? If it was you automatically win, it would just been called value. It's just been called automatic value or something. Expected value. You're gonna flip. You're gonna roll a 10-sided die and get paid 20 to 1 on guessing the right number. Okay, so you're getting paid twice as much as you should be. You're still going to lose 9 out of 10 times. And then someone shows up to the 10-sided die and says, I don't mind getting paid 7 to 1. Right? And it's like, well, that's negative EV. It's 10 to 1 to guess the right number. And you're only getting paid 7 to 1. You know how negative EV that is? And they go, I don't care. I'm guessing 3. And then the die rolls on the roll, and it comes out 3. They collect the $7 and leaves. And you sit there going, well, why don't I just accept 7 to 1? Like, because in the law, the more slates that you play, the more times you roll the die, the more money you're expected to lose. So obviously, this G-Men 2015 either don't keep on. I want them to, as good players, I want you to keep your $50,000 in the contests, and give back your money. But most likely, the type of person that builds this type of lineup probably is going to cash it, right? Like that's probably the best way. That's the best thing to do for that person. Take the money and run, withdraw, and stop playing DFS. Right. Kickstart says, geez, I'll never win when G-Man around. He'll probably use tarot cards to choose his players. Yeah, Shannon Lambert says Taylor Ward hit like 25% of his season-long home run total last night. So of course he did. He wasn't even in the winning lineup. Maybe on FanDuel he was. I don't know, but on Draftkings he wasn't. Scorpion with Scorp says the good thing is that when someone like Osimo wins, the probability of him giving the money back is very low. I like seeing the noobs win because they will end up giving the money back. It depends. It's a double-edged sword there, Scorpion. Like I said, like if a sharp player wins a lot of money, like $1 million or something like that, the most likely that most of that money will get recycled back into the ecosystem. Whether or not you get how much of a piece of that money you get is not as much, but at least it gets cycled into the ecosystem, which creates larger contests. It's in there, right? But a lot of times, if a rando 1 bullet casual build them a lineup on the toilet person wins the millie, like they ain't like they're withdrawing that. Like that's coming completely out of the ecosystem. Maybe they leave $10,000 in there or something like that, and that's about it. So no, it's not the type of thing where automatically, like, you want to see bad players, you want to see bad casual players. I want to see bad players win the playoff, right? Some rando person. I don't know the G-Men 2015 or anything like that. But yes, very similar to poker, right? I don't mind bad. I want to see people getting lucky. If it wasn't for the fact people got lucky, then they wouldn't come back and play. But it isn't the type of thing where, if a sharp player wins, you're never going to see that money again. The same, and it's because it's the same thing in poker. Let's say you're playing 6-handed, and you're playing, and 3 other really good players are playing, and then there's 2 whales there, two fairly bad players. Well, one of the bad players doesn't want to play anything less than six-handed. So if one of the sharp players takes the money and leaves, one of the whales gets up, and now we're four-handed, and then the other whale says, I don't want to play four-handed. Now the game breaks up. So do I want the sharp player to leave? No. Right? So, and also, who creates games in poker? I'm talking about primarily in poker, not online poker, but live poker. So it's like, I don't care about the good players. The good players help the ecosystem more than they hurt the ecosystem. They create the games that exist for bad players to play. Okay. Mr. Mike says, Earl, just keep playing random lineups for $50 a night and lose forever, but still be profitable for his DFS career. Yeah, that's correct. Negative EV does not mean, oh, this player could not, it's not going to be profitable. Right? If you're playing very low, it's like, oh, okay, I'm gonna play with house money, right? And they'll play for $15 a day. That negative EV doesn't mean like you lose. There's no way to possibly win the lottery, the actual lottery, the Powerball or whatever. Maybe not the Powerball. Sometimes the Powerball gets to a level where it actually becomes plus EV. It's just good luck realizing that EV. But most of the time, if you go to like the standard lottery, 4 number, 3 number, 4 number lottery, those are negative EV. They have, 15, 20% or more, like edge, if you want to call it edge. But people still buy the tickets and people win all the time. Right? People win they'll build a big bonus type of thing. It'll be like, they win $600,000. And it's someone that plays, $10 a day for whatever. It's like, yes, you can win, but it's luck. It's not mathematically profitable the longer that you play. So yeah, when the Powerball comes up, when it's like $8 trillion or whatever the hell it ends up being, a lot of times if I'm in the area, if I'm in the Kroger and God, give me 10 quick picks or something like that, whatever, $10 or just something. It's more for entertainment, only because like my family, friends, and something like that, they're playing. They have a ticket or whatever. It's more for entertainment. It's like, why not? Right, especially when it technically is plus EV, right? When it says there's like 17 cents worth of equity or something that you're getting positive because it's the $374 million or whatever. Said okay, for entertainment purposes, but I ain't going out buying $700 worth of fucking lottery tickets or anything. Justin Swartz, how should a casual player treat the ecosystem? If a casual wins 6 figures, what then is the more optimal way to continue playing? I don't understand what that means. How should it, how should a casual travel? If you're playing DFS for entertainment, do whatever you want. As long as, from my suggestion would be, do whatever you want within the reasonable means of affordability. And technically, I don't care about that either. I mean, it's none of my business. But if you're someone that plays, you come in to play DFS and go, I'm playing for entertainment. I have no expectation of making money, of being profitable. I have none. I don't even care. It would be nice. I would love to win, right? I would love to win first play. I would like to have life-changing money for a little bit. I would like to take a little bit of a shot, a couple of bucks for life-changing money. And I can afford it, right? Do whatever you want. However you want to play. Close your eyes. Pick people and go, I'm going to pick a catcher with the starting letter A and the first baseman with the starting letter B. The second baseman with the starting letter C. Because you like to do A, B, C, D. You do that. That's what's fun for you. Go do it. I'm not going to stop you. If you're playing for entertainment, don't listen to anything that I say. It doesn't matter. You're not playing for the reason that I'm playing, and for the reason that the show exists, right? So if you're playing casually for entertainment, play however you want. Not even whoever. However, play. Don't listen to me. Don't be compelled to I got to do this and don't literally do whatever the hell you want. It's whatever would entertain you the most. Entertain yourself, right? People Oh, I'm going to the baseball game, so I'm stacking that team because I'm going to get that. Dude, that would be the most entertaining to me, also, right? If I headed up to Cincinnati and went to a Reds game, right? And it's like, well, it's an 11-game slate and the Reds are on. I'll stack. Well, maybe not. I don't have to stack the Reds. I'll stack their opponent or something. It's like, oh, because that's more fun because I'm at the game. Well, yes, it would be fun if I had one lineup or whatever. I'm going to fade the game that I'm going to, and hoping that the game I'm going to is boring as hell. No, it'd be much more entertaining to stack the game that you're going to. But you're doing that for entertainment purposes, right? And I understand that. So play for entertainment. Do whatever. Make these type of line. Make 2-1-1-1-1 and stack 2 batters against your own pitchers. Go have fun. Doesn't matter. People go to casinos, slot machines. All those games are negative expected value, right? All the games have negative expectations, but people have fun playing them, and you can get lucky because negative EV doesn't mean you never could possibly win. You'll go and play blackjack, right? You go on a hot run or something like that. You turn $200 into 2,000. And get up on the table. The longer that you play, the large numbers is going to catch up to you mathematically, right? Right. You roulette wheel, right? You're like, I'm going to put $5 on. I'm bored on the 24th, so you put $5 on the 24th. It comes in, and there you go, 35 to 1 or whatever. Take your money and go get a nice meal or whatever. If that's the end, if that's what you're doing for entertainment, then that's fine. I would say do it. Don't play with money you can't risk to lose. But that truthfully isn't even part of my business either. So if you're enjoying yourself and you're playing with your rent money, that's not my problem. I wouldn't suggest it. But that's you're not playing for a living. You're not playing with the expectation that you will be profitable in this endeavor. So don't play properly. Play properly. Don't play. Let's say you're someone that you have no expectation of this being your living or anything like that. You do this as a hobby, but you enjoy the process of the game, right? You enjoy playing the game well more than winning the money, right? So it's like, yeah, I'll play the mini max, right? You'll play the mini max, or I'll play $3 single entry type of stuff, low dollar stuff that, at the end of the year, you don't expect to, you don't even expect to have $10,000 in profit. But it's like, I'd like to, by the end of the year, to show that I am good at this game, have a profit of something, right? Maybe to get a 1099. Maybe you have $1,500 worth of profit, and you had fun because you enjoyed the puzzle process, stuff like that. Well, then it's more likely that you're listening to stuff that I say, right? And you're playing that way. But do you have to take it to the nth degree? No, because you're not relying on it paying your bills or anything. And your goal isn't to make the most amount. I want to make hundreds of thousands of dollars and play high volume and all that type of stuff. But if you want to learn how to get better, then yeah, then I would suggest stuff like listening to RotoGrinders and subscribing to, subscribe to RotoGrinders Premium or whatever. And still, you're not in the position where it's like, well, I got to play every slate and I got to play every sport and I got to, you don't have to play the slate you want to play, whatever. But you're playing, the entertainment factor for you is you want to play the game well. Now, the byproduct of playing well is that by the end of the year, by the end of whatever, you should show a profit, right? You should win a GPP or something like that. But your goal isn't it. You're still playing for entertainment, but your entertainment is more of an intellectual entertainment. That's more like what I was in the beginning, right? It's a hobby. Oh, I enjoy trying to solve the puzzle every day. I'm going to learn as much as I can, try to solve the puzzle. Same thing I would do with a board game. I want to get really good at this board game or this card game or whatever, even if there's no money in it. Because I want to, what is the best strategy? I like figuring that out. Now, most of the time, I don't get that involved in games that don't involve making money off of it, right? I'm not going to put in all this time to then, like, what? Are we going to play for money now? Are we going to bet against this? Is there some type of financial reward for me putting in the hundreds of hours of work on perfecting the strategy for this game? No, then what the hell am I wasting my time on? Right? Is there professional Monopoly leagues? Is that maybe there are? Maybe tell me if there are. I'm very good at Monopoly. Depends on the rules, right? It's like Scrabble. There is. You could play Scrabble for money. I don't know. I mean, I knew a guy that did. He was a comic from way back in the day in New York City. But Matt Graham, I believe. Yeah, he was I don't call it professional Scrabble player, but he played like the national Scrabble tournaments and whatever. But there would be side games for money. Like he played Scrabble for money. So I said, okay, you could figure that game out. So if you're the type of person that likes to solve puzzles as a game, and then maybe the hobby turns into something where you make more, right? And then maybe you turn into it's the primary way that you make it income. Much more stressful that way. Justin Sports says, do you continue to build a bankroll via cash games? I personally don't suggest cash games at all. If you're especially if you're a casual player, don't play cash games. If you're looking to build your bankroll, it will not be in cash games unless your goal is to become one of the top cash game players in the world. That's it. That's why you should be playing cash games. So understand that difference. So if you're going to play $1 head-to-heads, cash game double ups and head-to-heads don't really attract casual players, especially in MLB. NFL is a little bit different. NFL is a little bit softer, but still not as soft as it should be. Your expectation, you're not going to beat the rate. All the people that are playing head-to-heads are people that are using projection. I mean, like it's all people that are competent. And it's not even that they have to be sharp. They just, as long as they're competent, you're not going to be that much of a favorite over anyone, which means you're not going to be able to beat the 10% or even 10, 12% rate. So if you're trying to build a bankroll and your expectation on a double up or head-to-head is maybe less than 2%, you know how long it's going to take you to do that? Okay, so let's say you have we're going to use that these $1,000 bankroll, 1,000 even, and you're going to play $50 in double ups and head-to-heads. Your expectation on that money, on that $50, could be $2. That's that if you have an edge over the rake. So every slate you play, your expectation is $2. $2. That's it. So the next day, now your expected bankroll is $1,002. So $2 a day for $50. Now, obviously, as you build your bankroll, you're gonna play $51 in volume. Then you're gonna play $52 in volume. You're gonna play 5% or whatever, maybe, for $1,000. And let's say you have a 2%. You know how long that's gonna take? Dude, it'll take you. Well, how long is it going to take you to turn $1,000 into $2,000 at $2 a day? Then $3 a day, right? Because it will go up exponentially a little, right? So $2, $3, $4. So by the end of the year, by a year from then, maybe you have $2,000 total, right? And then now you got a little bit better. So maybe you have a 4% expectation or something. Maybe if they do some bum hunting, you play on some different platforms. So to go from 2,000 to 4,000, that takes you about another year. Okay. And then to go from 4,000 to 8,000, that takes you another year. Like, dude, to turn 1,000 into $10,000 took you 4 years, right? Of playing every day. Okay. That's $9,000. Can you make it would be easier to make $9,000? Get a part-time job. Get at Wendy's, McDonald's, who cares? Spend this. You're spending 3 to 4 hours a day on this, right? Or some type. Like 3 to 4 hours at $10 an hour, at minimum wage even. At federal minimum wage, $7 or whatever. It's $28 a day. Even if you're part-time. Right? let's say you work 2 days a week for 8 hours. That's $7 an hour. That's $100 a week. You'll get 9,000. You'll have $9,000 by the end of the year, right? So do you want to spend 4 years building up, or just, why don't I just get to the $10,000 point now and then start playing DFS? I mean, like, that's the point that I'm making, is that it's not 2012 where even the double ups and the fifth, that people were playing those and didn't know what the hell they were doing. The less lower of a bankroll you have, bankroll, and I use that really lightly because most people don't understand what a bankroll is. Most people do not have $1,000 bankrolls. Most people have like $20,000 bankrolls. They say they have $1,000 bankrolls, but they don't. Okay. If you say you have $1,000 bankroll, that means if you were to lose $1,000, that means you would stop playing DFS forever. Okay. Right? If you have $1,000 bankroll, I'm going to play $100 a day, and by the end of the month, your $1,000 is down to $62, and you're like, well, I'll put another $500 in. So your bankroll wasn't $1,000; it was $1,500, right? Like, it's not. It's what you're willing to put in, right? What you're setting. I mean, for professionals, it's more like what you're setting aside as the thing that you're only using for DFS, right? It's like money that you put into an IRA, right? You ain't seen that money until you're 62 at least, right? So whatever's in there doesn't count towards paying it for anything, right? So when people say I have a $500 bankroll, I say you don't have a $500 bankroll. What happens if you play for 2 months and your 500 returns to zero? What would you do? It's like, well, I'll put another 500. So you don't have a $500 bankroll. If you want to have a bankroll, put as much as you're willing to lose in immediately. That would be technically your bankroll. Doesn't mean you have to put it in. Like, bankroll doesn't mean how much you have on the site. So if you have let's say you're the type of person, I'll put $500 onto DraftKings, and it maybe last me a month or two, and if it doesn't, I can afford to put another $500 in. Like, you shouldn't be playing cash games. You're more likely to take on risk, because replenishing your bankroll is you have another job, right? You have a job that you make $80,000 a year or something. That you have the normal, fairly normal job. It's like, okay, I can put in, you don't want to put in $500 every other day, right? But it's like, okay, so you could take on more risk. When you have a $400,000 bankroll and no way of replenishing that, really, realistically, then you take on less risk. Right? I mean, that's my stuff. It's like, why do I only play? I play sometimes less than 1% of my bankroll on a slate. Most times I actually do. So why do I do that? Because I still want to take on the risk, but not the ruin part. So yes, I'm giving up some EV by doing so, but I'm maximizing my chances of never going broke. Yet, while still playing lineups that are heavily plus EV and not being afraid to close in the laptop. If I was playing 10% of my bankroll, I'd be a mess. I wouldn't be able to do that psychologically. I mean, the swings that I go on are bad enough as it is for me, and my swings are much lower than most other professional players, if you want to call them that. And to like my wife, the amount of money I play is a lot of money. And that's why she tells me never tell her how much I'm playing on a given day. Because to her, if she lost $100, she had $100 bill in her pocket and then went to the grocery store and just lost it, dropped it on the floor, she'd be a mess. Can't believe I lost $100. And I'm supposed to say on some slates, like NFL, it's like, oh, I lost $8,300 today. Like, how'd you, what? Yeah, but then some days sometimes I make 12,000. So it's like, it all evens out. It all goes, and I make money in the long run. But she doesn't want to hear about any of that because she would be a mess, right? So what type of person are you? Okay, let's see. I'm just answering these types of questions today. Why not? Why not? Jacob Calloway, Blender, what's your process on rain out probability? I don't do anything. I don't care. Right now, I'm running different sims and aggregating. So Seattle tap stack percentage when they play, but X when they're rained out. Not sure. I approach it strategically. I do it manually. Okay. Right. What's the chance? What based on the report? What's the chance, approximately, of the game being rained out? And then I care about the ownership. I don't care about anything like that. Well, less people are going to play it, which is the ownership goes down. Like you're. Remember, I don't do anything. I don't have a process like that. What's your process on rain out probability? Well, what does it look like? I think this game gets rained. I think this game gets postponed. I don't know, a quarter of the time. Oh, well, then you change the project. No, I don't change anything. I have to choose whether or not I'm going to play them or not. And most likely I'll play them in stacks. So when it does get rained out, I don't have like lineups that are like one-offs of those guys. But as more and more people get off of that stack, the more and more I want to play it. Right? But I don't have like, okay, I put in 28% and then I do a mathematical, like there's none of my DFS plays that. None of it is. None of it, I don't make my own projections. I don't do any of that. Right. So here you go. Daniel Hutchins, exactly. If you're doing things manually, you can probably get directionally accurate with rainout risk by using only in stacks and 2, treating the stacks as higher volatility plays, right? Which is exactly what I do. Right? Good. If I had 100 lineups, yes, I'm going to have Seattle stacks and 50 of my lineups. Maybe not. But if it gets low enough owned, maybe I do. But that's to me, that's the only thing that matters. And it also depends on the size of the slate. I mean, like if we have, are we talking about Seattle, or was this some other day? I don't know. I didn't look at what's the weather report today. I think Roth said there were 2 spots that possibly. Let's see. Let's take a look at the weather day. Okay. Colorado at Philadelphia. Light rain all game. Okay. Baltimore at New York, similar to Philadelphia. Here's a yellow-orange from Miami at Washington. Yeah, so the Northeast seems to have a little bit of rain. So Baltimore at New York and Colorado at Philadelphia. Right? New York the Yankees have a 5-run total. Philadelphia, where's Philly? Is that what happened to them? Are they not on the slate? Is that like a 6:35 game and Draftkings does not have that on the slate? Am I nuts? Am I nuts here? Someone tell me I'm nuts. Let's look at the starting lineups page. Like I said, I don't even know what's going on today's slate. So Philadelphia. Oh yeah, okay. We got a 6:35, 6:30, 6:40. Yes, 6:45 here. So Draftkings is not including it on the slate. We got the Marlins Nationals game. What is that game? What's the total on that game? Yeah, they're pretty low as it is. How about the pitchers? So like Luis Severino, right? Well, the Yankees game could end up getting rained out. Well, typically, if they're willing to start, I don't mind playing the pitcher. Most of the time, we're going to know this beforehand. It's a 7:05 game. It's like it's not that big of a deal. But it's like on an 11-game slate, like, well, the Yankee game may end up getting postponed. They'll announce a late start or something. And you're like, oh, maybe it gets postponed. It's like, dude, it's 11-game slate. The Yankees have a 5-run total. The Yankees are in a good spot against Baltimore or whatever. It's like, how good of a spot is it on an 11-game slate that you're willing to take that risk? They're 1%. Yeah, I could take some shots in stacks only. Yeah, okay. But am I doing any sort of like advanced calculation? No, I'm not doing anything. And the larger the slate is, the more likely I just don't even bother. No matter what's the probability? It's a decent enough chance of it being postponed that I just X out the Yankees game, I X out the game completely. And go do it. There's 10 other games. No game on a slate of that size is going to be that dramatically like worth it to risk. But what happens if it's court? What happens if it's a Wrigley game and there's 8,000,000% win and blowing out the total in the game is 18? Like that doesn't happen. Like even in Wrigley win games and Colorado games on an 11-game slate, it could be whatever. Like even then, if you just X'd it out, you have plenty of other options. And if it burns you, it burns you. But if you want to think of it the other way of like, well, everyone's getting off this. You're gonna get a Coors game at 3%, 2%, 1% ownership because everyone's scared of the rain. Go ahead, go for it. Even if you're playing one lineup, play that in one lineup, and you have to be willing to close the laptop. Oh, the game gets postponed. Okay, you're dead. Okay. At what ownership is it worth doing? That's really what it comes down to. I don't know. I don't have an exact way of doing that either. Right? I see the projected ownership and it was like, no. If the weather was perfectly fine, this would be the ownership, but it's not going to be this. Right? So you go, this is going to be a little bit more down, and then you start seeing around the industry, like, oh no one's playing that game. It's like, okay, then I'm going to play it. Okay, like that's it. Like overthinking is what's there to think about. Let's see. Todd Brown, Blender, just joined. Sorry if I missed any big points. You would. Sorry if I missed any big point. Yeah, just joined. My suggestion would be to watch all the shows. Like go in the and watch all the shows because you're going to start. I'm seeing these question marks here, and you're gonna ask questions that I've answered 700 times. Are 5-2 stacks your favorite? No, there's no such thing as a favorite stack. Or at a certain point, does the popularity of 5-2 stacks make playing anything but a 5-man stack a decent idea? No, none of your questions. Neither of those questions matter. There's no such thing as a favorite stack, and there's no such thing as a plus EV stack. There's no such thing as that. Okay. Are 5-2? Okay, let's say 5-2 stacks are my favorite. Okay, let's do this. I'm gonna build a lineup right now. I'm gonna build up a lineup right now. Okay, let me find the two worst point per dollar pitchers. The two worst ones. Okay, it looks like Gonzalez and Lynch. I'm gonna put them together. Okay, I'm gonna put them the two worst point per dollar pitchers. I'm gonna stack let's see. What comes? Cleveland. I mean, some team with a low. Who's facing Rodon? Okay, the A's. Okay, I'm going to do the A's. You get relative value here, but whatever. Okay, so I'm going to go to the A's. Okay, I'm going to take 5 A's. Come on, let's go to the A's. And I want to take obviously the most expensive ones that have the least amount of value. Right? So I'm going to take the Murphy, Andrews. Am I going to be able to spend all my money? I don't know. Let's see. I'll just take 2 from them. Right? I'll take the 2 from them. Okay. Right. So I'm taking 2 because he wants a 5-2. Let's do a 5-3 even. Right. Who's more expensive? Tony Kemp at second. I get Andrews. Let's at least fill a second base spot. Okay. There we go. So I'm going to take that. Murphy, Kemp, and Andrews with the 2 worst point per dollar pitchers. And let's stack. We have plenty of 54. Who's an overpriced team today? The White Sox, maybe against Lynn. I get even worse. Right, I'm taking a stack against my pitcher. Even better. What's a low projected team point per dollar wise on this slate? Maybe I don't know. Just gauging. Play the Yankees, White Sox, the Braves. Maybe they're still too cheap. Yeah, they're still too cheap. Minnesota. Yeah, maybe Minnesota. Like Buxton is. Yeah, Minnesota looks very overpriced. Some of their expensive guys are like against Eduardo Rodriguez, right? So I'm going to play Buxton, right? I'm going to stack this. Okay, let's see. What's first base look like? Miguel Sano. Third base is Gio Urshela, and I need 2 outfielders. 2 more outfielders. Celestino, Larnick. Well, they have cheap outfielders also. So I'll just plug it in. Why? For Celestino and Garlic. Okay. So here you go. Here's a 5-3 line, Todd. Right. But when I play 5-3 stacks, it's a 5-man Minnesota with a 3-man Oakland with Gonzalez and Lynch. It leaves 7,300 on the table. and projects for God knows what. It projects for 66 as a median. Okay. Very low owned. Okay. So it projects at 66 as a median when if the median, the optimal median, which you wouldn't play in GPP, the optimal median is 121. So it projects for almost half, right? It projects for what, 60, 55 points lower, right? Of course, it's extremely low owned. So that lineup, that 5-3 lineup, it's a horrible lineup. That's an extremely, that's probably in a very negative EV lineup. Yet it's 5-3, right? So that lineup is 5-3 and horrible. I could probably reproduce thousands upon thousands of 5-3 or 5-2 lineups that are horrible. Horrible. I mean, they're awful. That were one-off lineups, like the lineup that maybe not stacking at your own pitcher. The lineup that won, the G-Men lineup, would be better than. Like, that's how bad those 5-3 lineups are. That even with that correlation, it doesn't make up that to that extent that it happens with the two worst pitchers and like everything combined. Okay? So it's not about 5-3 lineups. It's about building plus EV lineups. Oh, I built 4-3-1 and you built 4-4. And I like, there are plus EV lineups of any construction type. There are probably on a slate like tonight, on 11-game slate, there are probably more 5-man stack lineups that are plus EV. That doesn't mean that there are only. Remember what I said earlier today. People are like, plus EV means always, right? Negative EV means never. Everyone's always 100%, 0%. If in a fictional scenario, just to condense the numbers, if I told you there were 1,000, okay, let's open up a little. Let me open up a little notepad thing. Okay, I'll do that in Google Drive. Let me open it up just so you can visualize this, because this is an extremely important concept. An extremely strong mathematical concept that you need to understand. If you don't understand this, I don't know how you win at DFS. I don't even know how you play. Okay. The difference between more than and always. Like, it sounds stupid, but you'll see what I'm talking about. Okay. I mean, I mentioned it before. Let's just say that they're here. I'm going right in here. Let's just say there's 1,000 plus EV lineups. There's obviously way more than that in a contest with 11 games, right? 1,000 plus EV lineups. Okay. And if we had supercomputer, we had Watson, even though I think that Watson doesn't exist anymore, the IBM artificial intelligence. We had aliens from another galaxy that have super intelligence that's 800 million times past ours. And they could compute all future scenarios and all different universes, time horizons, and everything, right? In a matter of a flash, right? And went through all the lineups of this 1,000 plus lineups that were profitable if you were to play this contest a jillion times, okay? And then you looked at the types of lineups, so like 5-3, right? Which lineups could be described as this, not like who's in the lineup, but just who would be, like, if this is 5, let's just call them 5-1, 4-3, 4-2, 4-1, 3. Let's say, how about 4-4? Right, we got 4-4, maybe. Well, 4-4 would probably be more like up over here. Okay. Right. 4-4. Remember, this is so absurdly of an important concept. That's why I'm going through this. Okay. Let's just end it just for ease sake. And then we just go with just like non-stacked line, like that double question mark is like anything past 3-2, just whatever. I don't know what the hell people are putting together. Right. So there's 1,000 plus EV lineups. Okay. So let's say 100, let's say maybe not 100, but let's say there's 50 of them that aren't even stacks, right? Maybe there's even less than that. Probably out of 1,000, maybe 20. Okay. 20 of them that aren't even stacks. They're still plus. If we played this a million times, they would be profitable. Okay. Maybe at 3-2, you got 30, right? I'm going to see what this adds up to, right? If I did it this way. 60, 70, 80, 90, 100, 150 maybe, right? This, I mean, I could do more than this, right? Right, 150. This doesn't equal 1,000, right? Right. So let's say this is 40. This is 60. This is 80. This is 90. This is 120. I don't even know if this even adds up to it, whatever. But you'll see like 100, 110, 130, like something like this, right? Okay. So out of these 1,000 lineups, this doesn't include what teams there are or anything like that. Out of the 1,000 plus EV lineups, this is what they look like. Okay. So there are more 5-man stack lineups that are plus EV out of the set of 1,000. But it doesn't, out of the set of 1,000, more than half of them are not 5-man stacks. There's 104 lineups that are plus EV. There's 124 3 lineups that are plus EV. There's 94 2-1-1 lineups that are plus EV. There's 80 lineups that are just a 4-man stack and 4 one-offs. A 3-3 lineup. There are 3-3 lineups that are 60 of them, right? So which would you rather play? The lineup that I made before, that horrible pitchers in the Oakland and the high price Minnesota, whatever. That's a negative EV. No, I could find 4-1 lineups that are plus EV. I could find 3-3. Like it's not about the construction. It's about the lineup. You can build plenty of horrible play. You can build so many horrible 5-3 lineups. It's ridiculous, right? But most likely, if you're using projections, right, especially if you defaulted to a 5-man stack, you're more likely to find more 5 plus EV lineups because there are more 5-man stack lineups that are plus EV. So if you were to go in, you didn't know anything about DF, you didn't know anything about nothing, right? You're just like, I'm just going to show up and play. What is the chance of a random person, a person that knows nothing about baseball, nothing about nothing? If you were to just show it to a slate and say, I'm going to pick 2 pitchers, right? I'm even going to look at the projections. I'm going to pick the 2 highest projected pitchers and then play 2 teams together that had a team total of at least 4, right? So you weed out even the bad teams, right? So you just do 2 things, right? Who are the top projected pitchers and what teams? I'm getting rid of all the teams that are under 4 team totals. And then I build 5-3 lineups or 5-2 lineups, whatever the hell you want. 5-3 is easier because you just know it's 2 teams. If you were to build that lineup without knowing anything about baseball, nothing about nothing, you're more likely to have a plus EV lineup. Why? Because there are more plus EV lineups that are 5-man stacks that look like that, right? Doesn't mean all of them are. Look, at 150 out of 1,000, but you're more likely out of that. Now, if you were to show up for a slate and said, okay, I'm not going to look at anything, and I'm going to build 3-1-1-1, 1-2-1, like that type of lineup, there are less plus EV lineups. There are significantly less plus EV lineups that look like that. There are some that do look like that, but there's less of them. You're going to try to pick marbles, right? Let's relate it to, there's 100,000 marbles. There's red, there's green, there's blue, there's yellow, there's orange, right? Let's just say there's 300 reds. 200. Let's go 400, 250. Try to get it even. 200, 150, right? 100. Right, that's 1,000, right? I believe that's 1,000. Yeah. Okay. So you have 1,000 marbles in a bag. Okay. 300 of them are red, 250 are green, 200 are blue, yellow's 150, orange 100. If you knew those numbers and you had to guess, which number am I going to draw out of a hat? And it just have to guess which. There's no payout. There's no nothing. It's just like, what would you guess? You would guess red because there's more red. There's three. I'm telling you, there's 300 red, there's 250 green, there's 200 blue, there's yellow 150, orange 1,000. 700 of them, 700 marbles are not red, but there are more red. There's 30% of the marbles are red. So if you were just given a choice of what's the most likely marble I'm going to pull out of a bag, and you can only choose one of the 5 colors, well, you should choose red. That would be the answer. 70% of the time, it wouldn't be red because there's 250. So there's more red. It doesn't mean that there's more. It's not 999 reds in there. There's 300. Same thing with the stacks. If you're going to select orange, it's like, well, why are you selecting orange? There's only 100. Yeah, there's a 10% chance that I draw an orange out of the bag, right? So if you went in every slate and go, I'm going to build 3-3 lineups, it's like there's only so few orange marbles in the bag. Wouldn't it be more beneficial, unless you're good at identifying like how someone is going to pull the marbles out of the bag. If you're very good in DFS and identifying, wow, this 3-3 lineup is actually plus EV, and this 4-2 lineup is plus EV, and this 4-4 lineup is plus EV, but this 4-4 lineup, if you're good at doing that, you can pick and choose. If you look at some top players' ownership exposures, you'll see top players that have 5-3 lineups, 5-2 lineups, 4-4 lineups, 4-3 lineups, 3-3 lineups, right? It's a 4-1-1-1 and they'll only have maybe 2 or 3 of those because they've simulated that out. And those specific ones, right? That specific 4-1-1-1 lineup, they have as plus EV, and it's good enough to make their 150 cent or something. That's what they do. Can you simulate that? Can you identify that? No. You're probably better off going for the red marbles, right? More likely than not, if you're building 5-man stacks, you have more of a shot at building plus EV lineups. That's why you build 5-man stacks. You're taking advantage of correlation. If you're building 3-2-1-1-1-1 lineups, you're less likely to run into plus EV lineups. Doesn't mean you can't. But unless you're really good at identifying which ones are and which ones aren't, especially when there aren't as many, then I wouldn't be building them. Right, Daniel Hutchins says, just looking at an old DK slate, his process gave him an efficient ownership at 46% 5X stacks, 34% 4-man stacks, 14% 3-man stacks, and 6% random crap. And that was for a 7-game, right? But of course, even between all of those, it depends on what teams there. It depends the players that are in that line. Right. Right. Just because it's like, 46% 5-man stacks doesn't mean ever. Like 14% 3-man stacks could mean that only 2 teams on the slate are worth stacking 3 guys and then taking one off someone. Like the Cleveland Guardians don't appear in any 3-man stacks, but they appear in 5-man stacks, right? So you can't just specifically go by that either. And Dana and Todd Brown says, I typically favor the 5-man stacks, but my best results ever were with a 3-2-2. Right. It's the example that I gave before. I'm going to roll a 10-sided die. And I'm going to pay Daniel Hutchins 20-1 on guessing the right number. Okay. I'm going to offer him 20-1. And Todd, what I'm going to do is I'm going to offer you 5-1 on guessing the right number. Okay. Now it's a 10-sided die, which means you have a 10% shot at winning, right? I'm guessing the right number because it's 10 die and 10 to 1, right? There you go. So Daniel, I'm giving 20 to 1. You, I'm giving 5 to 1. Well, since it's a 10 to 1 shot, Daniel's plus EV. You're minus EV, right? Okay. So or let's say here, a better way is doing it the opposite way. I'm offering you 5 to 1. I'm offering Daniel 20 to 1, and you get to select, what type of die it is or something. That may be a little bit more complicated. So Daniel guesses on the 10-sided die, he guesses 8. He puts down his dollar or whatever he wants to bet, and he guesses 8. And it comes up not 8. And he loses. Right? And he goes, can I play again? I go, yeah, you can play as often as you want. Daniel will have all the money in the world at some point in that game. Right? You, on the other hand, you don't mind getting paid 5 to 1 for whatever reason, because you don't understand what expected value is, right? So you put down $1,000. You put down $1,000 and say, I want to win 5,000. I bet 3. The roll comes down and it's 3. You take your $5,000. You go, I'll play again. You go, I'll bet 5, and then it doesn't come up 5, and it's like, well, you lose 1,000, whatever, and you're like, well, I'm just gonna guess 3 because that's how much I won a lot of money by guessing 3. It's like you're still playing a negative expectation game. Like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Well, I won with this lineup that could have that 3-3-2 lineup could have been a plus, even could have been, I don't know. But if I had to guess based on marbles, based on this marble example, based on how distributions of lineups are, that you're less, unless you know what you're doing, you're less likely to have a 3-3-2 lineup that's plus EV. That's statistical, and I'm making a statistical fact here. This isn't like there's no like opinion here. Statistically, it's just like these marbles in this example. You built a yellow lineup, right? Did you build one of the 150 yellow lineups in this bag? I don't know. But if someone told me they built a red lineup, it's more likely that they built the lineup that was in this bag because there's more red lineups in the bag, right? That's the point, right? Not every 5-man stack is plus EV. Out of an 11-game slate, there's 1 billion lineups you can make, right? And 990 million of them are negative EV, right? Right? There's tons of negative EV lineups, and there's tons of negative 5-man stack lineups, but there are less negative EV lineups in the 5-man stacks. Do you do 5-2 or 5-3? Whatever. The differences of what you're thinking about is so marginal that it's not even worth the time. Okay. Most of this is not even worth the time to do. Okay. If you're contemplating, do I play 5-2 or 5-3 or 5-1? Probably the amount of time that it took to write that to me to say that sentence was too much time to spend on whether or not that decision matters. That's really what it comes down to. Unless you have a way to show the difference between a 5-3, 5-2, 5-1 of every possible lineup combination you can make, okay? Which on a slate like tonight is millions upon billions, probably. If you have a way of analyzing all possible lineups like that, and not only that, finding a big enough discrepancy between one specific lineup construction that has nothing to do with the teams that are in it, that it was worth doing all of that process. And I can tell you that it isn't. That even if you had a supercomputer, even if you had Daniel Hutchins, his robot algorithm, whatever the hell he uses, most likely that by the time you're done analyzing that a non-team based, remember, this is non-team based. So it's like, yeah, certain 5-3 lineups are going to be much better because they project high. I mean, like, yeah, obviously that's true. The 5-3 lineup we made projected 60 points lower. It's only because I'm putting in the crappiest players, right? It's not hard to see that, like, oh, the team that projects the best also tends to be more than the 5-man stack. Of course. I'm talking about adjusted for team, adjusted for projection. And you go, okay, which is significantly, you'll probably find that 5-3 on smaller slates, maybe a little bit more, like there's nuances of the slate, but I'm talking about the margin. The margin. If I would have told you, here's another bag of marbles. Okay. Okay. Here's all the marbles in the bag. Right? All these 5 marbles, 300 red, 299 green, 298 blue, 297 yellow, and 296 orange. Okay. You didn't know how many marbles were in the bag. Like, you don't know how many total marbles there are. Right? So you don't even know. But you look in the bag and you go, I see a lot of red, I see a lot of green, I see a lot of blue, I see a lot of yellow, I see a lot of orange. They all look about the same, right? For the naked eye, even. They all look around 300 marbles. It's possible that there's only 299 green. It's possible. It's possible. There's only 299 green. There's only 296 orange. But to you, you look at all these and you go, it's about the same. And then you're going to be like, well, you need to guess which marble comes out of the bag. Now, obviously, based on this, you'd rather bet red because there's more red in the bag. But there's not that much more red in the bag. There's only one more green. I mean, it's the difference between the amount of reds and the amount of the other colors is not that dramatic. Okay? So if you were to say, I think there's more blue, and I'm going to bet blue, and you're technically wrong, but you're really not that wrong. Right. And if you have an edge on this, and let's say it's 1,000 marbles and you're getting paid 1,200 to 1 or something, or whatever, like you're getting a plus, you have an edge there. So you don't even care. The difference between 4 marbles, 1 plus or minus 1, 2 marbles doesn't matter. You still have an edge. Right. Okay. And now you don't know how there's around 300 marbles each. But let's say I said you want to find out what that's, if it's true. Right. You're going to have to go and you're going to have to count all the marbles. You're going to have to count 300 reds, 299, and that's going to take you, I don't know, that may take a half an hour to count all of that, right? And then when you're done with the count, you'll find out that, there's 4 less orange in the bag. And based on the edge that you have on this game, even with 4 less orange, if you would bet orange, it would still be plus EV, right? Because as long as it's around 300, you're fine. Right, based on the odds of the game. So you spent a half an hour to count all the marbles, maybe more. Maybe you spent an hour to count all of them. How was that hour worth it? Was it worth it to do? No. Did it markedly affect anything that you did? No. Oh, now I'm just going to say red because it's slightly more. But I mean, over a million trials, that may matter a little bit more. But in the span of one slate, probably doesn't. So that's what I mean by, if you take out team adjusted any type of projection and go, was 5-3 better than 5-2, better than 5-1 on this slate? Like, by the time you figure out that answer, the answer is marginal and it wasn't worth the time that it took you to do it, right? Most of the time, these things are more based on slate size than anything. That if you generally went by slate size, that would be fine. But still, you could play any different type of construction. Scorpion or Scorp asks, so this is why pros use Excel to pick lineups after they make thousands of lineups in Crunch. Different people have different processes. I can pick lineups in Lineup HQ. You can make up to 300 at a time. Well, like yesterday I built 10 lineups. I played 10 lineups. I mean, it didn't do well. I mean, I had the Phillies, I had the Rockies. I mean, I had stuff, but I mean, I had Cleveland and Arizona. They did nothing. A lot of times I'll go and I'll build 50 of each. I'm only building 10 lineups, but I'm building like 50 of each stack. I want to see what the Cleveland ones look like. I want to see the Arizona ones look like. I want to see the Philly ones look like. I want to see what these look like. I look and go, okay, I don't want this type of lineup. I don't want that type of lineup. I'd rather have less of this guy. And then I start weeding out lineups. And then I'll save these 1, 2, 3, then go to the next stack. If I'm building 10 lineups. If I'm building 150 lineups, it's potentially I could build 1,000 plus lineups. Right? Go through. It's like 150. Okay, this. How many of these types? What combos? I'm getting way too much of these second baseman and shortstop in these types of lineups. So I'll go get rid of those lineups and redo some of those lineups, right? And you're just working with lineups. Some people simulate what they want to pick. It could be a ton. I'm playing the directionally accurate type of thing, blunt, right? But if you understand the concepts of DFS, I could look at a lineup and tell you if it's plus EV. I would say I'm correct 95+% of the time. That I could just look at a lineup. Obviously, once all the starting lineups, not now. Once all the starting lineups and the ownership and everything come in, I could look and you tell me the contest that you're playing and the payout structure. And typically, you don't have to tell me that. I know what they look like. And then show me a lineup, and I can tell you if it's plus EV. And a lot of times you could show me 10 of your lineups. I'll say that's good, that's fine, and they all look different. Okay, that makes sense. And you go, so you just build, you can build 1,000 of these types of different, go for it. And there you may show me a 3-2-2 lineup that I go, maybe it's a lineup I don't get to, but I could see how this could be plus EV. But it depends on the lineup. It better project better than the stacking lineups, right? Those levers, remember, projection lever, correlation lever, leverage lever. So you're in baseball, most people put a correlation up 5-3, correlation to the top, right? 4-4, even 4-3-1. The correlation lever is really high. So if you're going to put the correlation down, you're going to make it up elsewhere. In projection, leverage, something, right? So I could look at a 3-3. I could look at a 3-2-2 lineup and go, not as much correlation as a 5-3 lineup. But where are you making that up? The correlations? You're playing two batters against a chalky SB2 type pitcher. Your 3-2 stacks are like the two best projected teams on the slate, right? That type of thing. And I go, okay, this could work, right? At one out of thousands of lineups that could be plus EV, sure. Yeah, this is acceptable. Right? But are you going to try to make lineups in all these types of constructions and then try to weed that out? You can. It'd be easier to just select one. Just go, I'm just going to make all my lineups look like this, or at least 5-man. So you could do 5X and just if it comes out 3, 2, whatever, then that's fine. Maybe you're like, okay, on this slate, I'm also going to include 4-3 lineups and just whatever comes out, comes out. You can do that. Because it's more likely, like I said, not more than, not always. There are more 5-man stack lineups that are plus EV stacks, that plus EV than 4-man stacks, that are more than 3-man stacks. It doesn't mean there aren't any 3-3 or 3-2 lineups that are plus EV. Doesn't mean, if you're building 3-2-1-1-1, they're all negative EV. No, that's not true. But if you don't know the difference between them, you're more likely to randomly get a plus EV lineup that's a 5-man stack, that's a 3-man stack. So if you don't know what you're doing, you're probably better off building 5-man stacks. There you go. End of story. Not complicated. You know what else is not complicated? Give me those thumbs up buttons. Thummy thumbs. Give me those thummy thumbs. Hit the subscribe button if you're new here. Hit the notification bell to know when we go live. We got Grinders Live later today. Grinders Live. Crunch Time is free. It's free. So right after, it's the same stream. It doesn't matter. Live locks on the Scores and Odds channel. NHL. Is NHL tomorrow? We're doing NHL Grinders Live now. I don't play hockey DFS, but if you want to, we got content for that. We got content for MMA. We got content for soccer. We got content for everything. In our combo premium package, you even get coaching calls from me. I do Zoom calls in my Blenders Game Theory channel in our premium Discord. That is for RotoGrinders premium members only. So sign up for that. Click on the link in the description. Get $10 off your first month. And the type of stuff that I was talking about is actually in the Theory of Daily Fantasy Sports. It's a 15-hour audio DFS masterclass taught by myself and James McCall. So that type of concept that we went through over there, maybe not as catered to the YouTube chat and just for MLB baseball. But it's in there. How to think like a professional DFS player. All the game theory concepts that apply to every sport. All right. You see it all here. So go pick it up. Theoryofdfs.com. And we'll see what happens on this 11-game slate. I don't know if I'm playing FanDuel or Draftkings today. I'll see right after the show, depending on the prize pools. So I will review it tomorrow and continue on answering your questions like I always do on the DFS pregame show on RotoGrinders.com.